Friday is finally here.
It is here.
We get to punch the ball in the end zone. We said we're sitting at the 3.
Okay.
It's first and goal. I want to go around real quick. Give me the play call. All right, I don't need all the terminology. Just what type of play are you running, David?
For me to punch
from the 3. First and goal from the 3.
You know what? I'm running a little rub route on the outside, little natural pick from the 3. And we're going to get it right there on the pylon.
Of course you're throwing it.
Actually, maybe fade stop, maybe fizz.
What about you?
Getting a heavy set and running power. That's what I'm doing.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If it's me, I'm probably getting in a heavier personnel and running a gap scheme run. I don't know. Maybe we get in the eye. Maybe I line up under center and we just go push 3 times.
Yeah. I need more information. But ask me at the 1.
Everything is down the middle.
Ask me at the 1 though. Ask me at the 1.
Push, maybe.
Well, I know this. Are you getting in the shotgun?
No.
The Jags did it last night.
No.
How about no?
I'm not getting in the shotgun.
Jags got a shotgun and ran a slow mesh play.
At the 3, a little bit different though.
Quickly, I know we're going to talk about that game. What I don't understand is they're like, well, Trevor Lawrence, he's got that injury, so they're not going to put him under center and do
That's not an
push. It's like, wait, then why is he out there playing?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to let him run around?
He ran for like 70 yards.
Yeah, you're going to let him run around?
He looked healthy.
Yeah, but no, it's like when people are like, hey, this guy's unbelievably athletic, but we can't get him under center because he's not used to taking that exchange because we don't take the time to just work it for the 3 minutes in pre-practice that you can do it. I hate that excuse. It's the worst ever. The NCAA is once again investigating Michigan, this time for possible in-person scouting. That's a bad
cheaters.
Boo.
The Jaguars hold off the Saints on Thursday Night Football, and we're breaking down the biggest college football matchups this weekend with our keys to victory. I'm Jake Crane. It's Friday, and it's Crane & Company. Get excited. Y'all know us. We're going to tell you the truth. So I'm going to go ahead and say the quiet part out loud. Stealing signs is a big part of the game in college football. All right, in sports in general, really. There's multiple ways to do it. Now, some are not as coordinated as others. But let me tell you, just like pretty much everyone was paying players before NIL, pretty much everyone, especially the higher levels you go in this game, steals signs. Now, a lot of college teams and high school teams have broken the bylaws of their organizations and sent people to figure out opposing future teams' signs at their games. Now, if this was such an egregious act of espionage and tomfoolery, then how do schools ever recover when coaches and now players through the transfer portal move around who know their previous team's signals? How is that any different, really? Remember when CBS made a big deal about a certain coach with binoculars in the press box relaying signals for the other team because he coached there the year prior? Maybe some people don't know this, but you actually change signals frequently because, well, you have to. You change them during the season, you change them in the off season, and you do that to accommodate for coaches and players moving on. Because if you just keep the same signals every year, you are screwed. The film is out there, and if you're in a conference, you play the same teams over and over again. Now, video guys across the country, they do their best not to get the sidelines too much into the frame when shooting the wide and tight, but it's still on there a decent amount. Now, you can say on one hand, it's true that they broke the rule at Michigan allegedly, but is it truly a rule if everyone is breaking it? The fact is, this shouldn't be a rule, at least this part of it. The honest truth is some teams actually use you stealing signs against you. They will test it early to see if you know their signals, and if it turns out you do, they'll switch them. They'll actually use the same signals to mean something different, which turns a weakness into an advantage. Remember when Mike Leach purposely left his play call sheet on the field, knowing the other team would take it and use it against him, only for him to hoodwink that same team? It's called gamesmanship. And it's not like you're filming their practices and getting their game plans, a la the Patriots. The bigger question is, why is the NCAA singling out Jim Harbaugh again? Did he steal one of their girls? Did he call one of their children fat? Did everybody at the NCAA Infractions Committee graduate from Michigan State or Ohio State? No. but I think I do know the reason. I believe Harbaugh embarrassed the NCAA with Burgergate and then used his suspension as a PR move to rotate interim head coaches, including his father, to make a laughingstock out of the dissolving body's punishment. His suspension led to a tidal wave of people making fun of the NCAA. And on their way out, they will do whatever they can to try and return the favor to Michigan. Because we all know the NCAA is unbelievably selective on severity of punishments, who they punish and how long. Just look at Kansas basketball. Sorry for the stray bullet, Coach Self, but it's the truth. Because at the end of the day, the NCAA should be laughed at. It's a joke. And what's even more laughable is trying to compare this to the Astros using noises mid-pitch to give away what pitch is coming because they videoed it live during the actual game. That's a different animal. Now, what will come of this punishment? Who knows? But if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I've about had enough of this nonsense, and the NFL sounds better and better by the day, especially if I can win a national championship ring this year to my alma mater at Michigan.
Woo!
David Cohn.
The Mona Lisa of monologues.
Yeah, former Michigan quarterback, my brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. I'm not a Michigan fan. Michigan hadn't sent me a check yet. I don't like Ohio State more than Michigan, or Michigan more than Ohio State, or Michigan more than Utah, or Utah Polytechnic Institute of Technology and Polytechism. But I know when somebody's being singled out and picked on. It's ridiculous. And anybody that says this isn't happening or your team doesn't do this, I promise you they do a version of this. If we did it where I was, I promise you they do it where you root for. At what point is this just, we just got to call a spade, man.
Here we go again, boys. Now, am I biased? Yes, I bled for this football program. At the same time, I think I've proven that I can be objective when it comes to rules and regulations. I've stood up in defense of LSU and UNC and even Jim Tressel and OSU against the NCAA. Three main points here. First of all, is it possible, based off what I know about the NCAA over the course of not just the last decade, but my personal experience of having to sit across the table from them during these sorts of meetings before, is it possible that Jim Harbaugh at Michigan is being unfairly targeted for whatever reasons, for his, his coming out and saying college football players should be paid, or his pro-life stances, or whatever? Of course it is. It's entirely possible, and I think it's likely, but I don't have proof of that. On the flip side of that, is it possible that in all of these allegations so far against Michigan that Jim Harbaugh has knowingly broken the rules, competitive advantage rules? Yes, of course that's possible, and I don't think you would have seen a 3-game suspension earlier in the season unless there was something there, even though we've seen this sort of cowardice from the athletic department at Michigan before. And if the rules were broken, I think that there should be some sort of punishment. That's where I differ from our buddy Steve Dace, who's also a big Michigan fan, and he was posting about this yesterday. He said if Jim Harbaugh knowingly broke the rules to gain a competitive advantage, he likes Jim Harbaugh even more because this is a dirty business. It's about time he started cheating to be able to win games and win a championship. I don't go that far because I still think we need to uphold the integrity not only around this country, but in college football. But that gets me to the third point and the main point, and it's bigger than just sports. It's going on in our country and our culture and our politics and everywhere, which is who's making these rules here? Does the letter of the law match the spirit of the law when it comes to the NCAA? Case in point, at LSU, Livy Dunn can make $3 to $5 million from her NIL deal, but Mason Smith can't sign autographs or else he has to sit out of a football game. The letter of the law does not match the spirit of the law, and that gets us to this point right here. Yesterday, the NCAA has said nothing. This is a Yahoo article, and here is the title of that article, the headline: Sources: NCAA investigating Michigan football for alleged rule violations relating to sign stealing. Sign stealing. 6 paragraphs in, sign stealing is not technically prohibited. 6 paragraphs in, it's not about stealing signs. You can't send a person to watch your opponents play football is the rule. Something that every single team has done. My 8-year-old Seahawks football team, we begged our parents to stay late for the next game so we could watch the opponent we're playing the next week. And that's what the NCAA wants to come out against Michigan, the number 2 team in the country, while we're in the middle of the season, not even the offseason. The NCAA is on their deathbed. It's an absolute joke. If I were Jim Harbaugh, I'd laugh in their face.
I would too. Blaine, again, we go to the spirit of the rule. It is there are so many archaic rules. I'll give you an example of an archaic rule. How the hell is James Madison and Jacksonville State not eligible to win their conference? I'm watching JMU literally run through the Sun Belt like it's a 5K, And there's and I don't want to digress too far, but I'm just using this as an example. But they need time to be able to acclimate to the new conference. Look, I'm so glad the NCAA is on their way out. We need new rules. But the fact, it's almost like the J. Edgar Hoover FBI. It's not. It's you find a person and then find a crime. That's what it's like to me, or find an infraction. Because they've got information on everybody, right? It's just like anything. But it just, which file are you going to pull? Right, and when you pull that file, how are you going to take something small and try and punish it to the most severe intent, and for other schools take something very severe and punish it to the littlest extent? But the fact that you cannot send a person in 2023, I don't care if it's a future opponent, I don't care if it's a present opponent, I don't care if it's a past opponent. The fact that you cannot send a person to a game to sit there and try and take signs is absolutely ridiculous, and it's asinine. So if you're saying that I can't go to the game to steal signs, can I not go to the game in general? Am I not allowed to watch the game on TV? Because what happens if I see more people signaling on TV than I do during the game when I'm at the game, if you really watch it.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to go to the game, to be honest. But first, we might as well get this out of the way. Flaming Dragon Friday, we're going off at 1.5 today.
Okay.
1.5. Okay.
This is a thing. It even goes back to middle school football, in my opinion. You always have, if you remember when you played, you always have a guy, no matter who, if it's a player not playing, if it's a dad or something like that. And this was going for me in middle school, that would stand up outside of your practice field and make sure no one's driving past in cars. And sitting and just catching signs. We caught guys in middle school. We caught guys in high school. Everybody's doing it. What did Jim Harbaugh do to the NCAA? It's like one of those
I'm telling you, I think he
went to school with the kid.
He bullied him.
He went to school with the kid, and like everyone, they locked him in dumpsters and called him cheese.
Yeah.
Bullied him his whole life because they're blatantly singling Michigan out for no reason at all. Cheeseburgers? It went from cheeseburgers to sending a guy to the game. I didn't know the Gestapo were following Michigan around. Vincent cheeseburgers, Vincent cheeseburgers. The NCAA needs to go. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, I'm not doing anything these people tell me, ever. What are y'all going to do? You're gone in 1.5 years, maybe 2 years max. Tell me to sit games. I'm going to take my ass. I'm going to sit on that sidelines, and you're going to have to come get me. You're going to have to beat up 160 kids in pads to get me off.
When does Jim Harbaugh go like activist and go like chain himself to a pole outside of the NCAA like building?
The one form of activism I can get behind.
Goes on like a hunger strike. He's just sitting out there, Jim Harbaugh on the hunger strike. It's just, we want to know what you think. Again, it's just funny at this point.
I do have a little more information for you if you'd like. It sounds like Connor Stallions, a football analyst with the Wolverines, retired military, is at the heart of all this issue. And among the skills Stallions has written about that he has and that he brings to the table with college football teams.
He has a very special set of skills.
Identifying the opponent's most likely course of action and most dangerous course of action, and identifying and exploiting critical vulnerabilities and centers of gravity in the opponent's scouting process. I feel good about a lot of things when Jim Harbaugh's hiring that type of person.
You're bringing on like Navy SEALs to be like, it's a pass,
so what we're saying is the NCAA hates the military.
Yeah. They hate the military. Why does the NCAA hate the military? And there's your breakout title right there.
NCAA hates America.
Also, just from a technical standpoint, and you guys were coaches, why are we not putting our plays on the wristband and sending in A1 and calling the play in the huddle?
So like they do in baseball. Somebody got really smart in baseball. They stopped saying from the dugout. They're like, "Hey, G7."
Yeah.
Well, first of all, why are we sending guys to games? Like, you don't have. It's 2024, dog. You don't have to do that.
Well, it sounds like he was breaking down game film and tape. Now, whether he went in person, I think, is at the heart of this whole thing because
I think going in person, who cares?
And if you go in person, what's the difference between watching and scouting? At what point does watching become scouting? And if you're retired military and you see their signals that they're signaling in, how do you then know what correlates to the play? Are you now an expert when it comes to smash to the boundary or something because you're ex-military? And I guess this brings in another point, which I've seen going around. At what point in college football are we just going to get the headsets and the helmet so we can talk to the quarterback?
You might as well. Might as well.
It used to be the excuse of not every program has the funds and the ability to have headsets and the helmet. It's 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan, why aren't we stealing signs for playoff games? Why aren't we doing that?
Y'all definitely didn't.
Why are we doing that?
Hey, here's the funny part. Against Georgia a couple years ago, I don't think it mattered if they sold. Like
They could have told you the play.
Yeah, like Georgia could have literally given TCU a diagram.
Who's Michigan?
Like, here's where we're running it or throwing it.
That makes it.
Michigan was stealing signs from Rutgers.
That makes it more sad.
Yeah. Greg Sean was like, something's not right out there. Yeah, you guys got way worse players than them.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, that's what we want to know what you think. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to open the phones up. 7:15 a.m. Central, 8:15 a.m. Eastern. Going to get to the Booster Club here in 1 second. But there's a lot of layers to this story. And if you want to add some fresh layers to your fall style, you need to check out our friends over at Indochino to take your style to the next level. You got to look good to feel good, right? Look good to play good. This isn't some mystery. It's tough to figure out. So whether you're attending an important meeting, networking event, simply want to impress your colleagues, maybe that girl at work that you've been way too afraid to talk to, that you're Meghan Markle from Suits. Our friends at Indochino, they have everything you need, all right? Business casual, dress shirts, camp shirts, blazers. You want something to wear to the tailgate? Maybe to the game on Saturday? They've got you covered too, like a warm blanket in the wintertime when it's cold outside, all right? Not just shirts either. They have high-end suits at affordable prices. We know that. We've got our suits custom tailored. The ordering process was unbelievably easy. They've got tons of colors and selections. And outerwear this fall, Indochino has you covered as well. They got trench coats, wool, cashmere overcoats, right? Get that cashmere.
Look at that peacoat. Tell me he's broke.
Buttercream.
Yes.
Just want to throw a dead animal on you.
Yeah, Mochaccino face. So add fresh letters to your fall style with Indochino. That's INDOCHINO.com. Use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, and you get 10% off any purchase of $399 or more. That's INDOCHINO.com, promo code BOOSTER. Also, we're up. I'm telling you, we got some new merch that's coming. We're almost sold out. We know a lot of sizes are out of stock. We're going to put the link in here. Go buy a candle. We got some new stuff coming from a candle standpoint too. But sell out everything, and we got some cool stuff coming. So buying merch really, really helps the show, everybody.
All right, let's go do a couple things for Broken Devil Dog here. Let's go chat. Let's have a good Friday. He says they literally show the coach's play sheet in the last 2 NFL games on TV.
Yes.
That is true. He says it was a rule literally created due to cost. Some schools couldn't afford to send scouts, so that's why they banned it, not because it was considered cheating.
Yeah, it was in 94, I think. 92 or 94.
We don't have money to send to coaches. Then why are you playing? Why are you playing? Like what? Like what do you think? You know, the Leonidas and them sent a runner to run from the hot gates all the way back to the city. You can't get guys to go to the game? I'm so sick of this.
I'm absolutely at a loss. I watched a baseball team use electronics to identify pitches, win the World Series, keep their championship, and we're sitting here talking about
hit on
Jim
trash
Harbaugh.
cans like orcs with drums.
There's something else going on, boys. I don't know what it is, so I can't say, but when we find out, best believe
It's like Jim Harbaugh pants the head of the NCAA.
Oh, you think this goes way back? This is the middle school?
Oh, yeah.
I think
this
maybe
feels like this got 7th grade written all over.
No, it does for sure.
100%.
That's for sure. Why are you talking to her, man? That's my first girlfriend. I'm in love forever. We're going to get married.
At the hot gates last night. Let's go to Dakota Blackburn. So what would happen if Harbaugh just ignored the punishment, if there is one, and is that even possible?
Penny Hardaway did it at Memphis.
But then Michigan punished him this past time. That was self-imposed, those 3 games.
Look, here's the thing. Michigan wins the Natty. It's a Kanye song. You can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
And that's how I feel as someone who played Michigan football. If they win the national championship, something we've been trying to break through and do for 25 years now, that's how I feel. You can't tell me nothing because I know Jim Harbaugh well enough to know that he didn't cheat so much so that it ruined a competitive advantage. But if they do win the championship, for the rest of the country's eyes, will this just be under the narrative cloud of, oh, well, obviously they're cheaters?
No, look, as an Auburn fan, we experienced the same thing with Cam Newton after the national championship.
And that came out mid-season.
Yeah, you want to know what? Don't hurt me. You know when I look at it? 2010. National.
It'd be different if y'all were just mediocre.
Yeah.
Just one.
Lucked up.
Then 1 week showed up and it started rolling.
Figured out. Yeah.
Then maybe. But no, y'all are just an extremely good football team.
Oh, you know what? That brings me to a narrative that I saw yesterday online, and I just wanted to tell the Booster Club because it's all about winning the water cooler here. And I know we have a lot of Buckeye fans in there, Michigan State fans in there, and we want to keep y'all in there. The narrative of, oh, well, of course this comes out when Michigan finally breaks through and starts winning a lot of games because they're cheating, and that time's up and makes a lot of sense. Something very important happened in that time. Urban Meyer is not in Columbus anymore. That's what happened. Yeah. And the fact that Jim Harbaugh could finally win that big game means he can win the conference and make the playoff.
Rumor has it Urban Meyer might be in East Lansing.
You're really still hearing those rumors, huh?
Well, it came out. I saw some unsubstantiated stuff.
Yeah, I saw the guy who, was ass kicked on Netflix a couple times. With it. So, I'm really not going to believe it.
Yeah, I'm not believing it till I see it.
Let's go to Ethan Williams. Says there's no way someone in the NCAA doesn't have a personal issue with
this. This is
personal.
You oh no, you dated the girl from HR at work and y'all broke up.
Never do that.
You made that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
So it's something. It does feel like it's got 7th grade written all over.
Yeah, dude. It's weird. Let's go to Drew P. Balls with a $2 donation. Says we need Flaming Dragon to wage war against the NCAA. Look, man, at this point,
that's your King's Landing?
I'm not against it. Should I just go get it?
Or is that a pterodactyl or a seagull? Yeah. What noise does a dragon make?
You don't want to know.
Just the wings flapping like, whoo, whoo.
You do not want to know. Let's go to Stevie.
Is
Ryan Day behind this?
Nothing would shut. Look, nothing would.
It's Ryan behind this.
Nothing would. If 20 years from now, it came out that Ryan Day was like boys with like the assistant deputy of infractions and other stuff, whatever, at the NCAA. And he you saw that tweet from, God, I'm trying to remember when it was from Georgia, Michigan, from Harbaugh saying if Georgia's implying we're stealing signs, that's not true from like a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I feel like this could go like a couple different directions. I know that behind the scenes, there's a war that goes on. People are waging war with intelligence at high levels of college football. That's how deep this goes. Now, which is it coming out of Russia? Is it coming out of somewhere else? China? It could go a couple different ways.
That's been my thing. The first 7 years of this guy's tenure in Ann Arbor is everyone made fun of me because he's too nice of a guy. Oh, he follows all the rules. He's goody two-shoes. He's wearing his cleats and his khakis. Now all of a sudden he's the biggest cheater in the game? Stop making me laugh, man.
All right, we're going to get back to the chat. We got phone lines opening up. Make sure you hit that like button if you're in the chat. Let's get to Keys to Victory.
Keys to Victory. Let's talk about a couple games here. And remember, we got our Saturday special dropping tomorrow. We're going to break down those 5 big games that we're picking. But today, let's hit a couple here. Washington State at Oregon. What do you think about this one?
Well, it seems like Washington State's kind of fallen off a cliff. You know, you had they're on a 2-game losing streak. You got absolutely drilled at home by Arizona. I want to make sure and give Jed Fish and Arizona their flowers for winning that game. But I wonder if Washington State was looking a little bit ahead to Oregon, but I don't know how you look a little bit ahead and then get your ass beat by 38. Maybe you get beat in the last second, something like that. I think Oregon is upset after the way it went down at Washington. I think this is a tough spot for Washington State, who's lost some confidence. I love Cam Ward. I think it's a 20-point spread right now with Oregon at home. I think Oregon covers that spread. I think it wasn't just Washington State overlooking Arizona. I think there's something that's going on right now with Washington State, whether the book's kind of out on them a little bit, but I think you're going to see an upset Oregon team at home. Key to victory, if you're Washington State, Cam Ward has got to be the magician. He's got to find a way to kind of recapture that magic they had earlier in the season. And then if you're Oregon, the key to me is you just can't play sloppy, right? You can't do things that allows Washington State to stay in the game, turning the ball over. I don't think you're going to see it from Bo Nix, busting coverages, not being tight in the red zone. But I tell you what, I'm interested to see the decision-making from Dan Lanning if there's some interesting situations that come up with the way it's went down.
Flaming Dragon, Washington State, before they dropped these past 2, remember they had that huge win over Oregon State.
Yeah, I know. Just absolutely fallen off the rails since then. And the biggest thing for me, it's like, look, we know your defense wasn't great. I don't think they were terrible. I thought they played well in the UCLA game, but more about UCLA's offense. Is this offense for Washington State just hadn't been the same the last 2 weeks? Cameron looks great. You have 2 NFL receivers. You're just not You're just something just feels off. I think they get back on track this week. I feel like 20 and a half.
Back on track this week by winning? Or?
No. 20 and a half. I'm talking about covering spreads. Yeah. 20 and a half is a lot of points to me. I do feel like Oregon bounces back. I don't think Oregon has to be anything other than themselves in this game. And I think Dan Lanning will get these guys back on track, know who they are. I think Oregon wins this game, but I think this ends up being a 17-point game. I think Washington's offense bounces back.
Let's go to this one. This one's getting a little more interesting here with Oklahoma State at West Virginia. West Virginia exceeding a lot of expectations.
They are. Should be 5-1.
Should be.
You know, gave up that, had that penalty after scoring the touchdown at Houston in the midweek last week and ended up giving up the Hail Mary, if that's what you want to call it. It was more like a Hail Laser. It wasn't a lot of arc in that pass. Oklahoma State seems to have found something, right? They stopped the carousel at quarterback. Bowman's been the one that's running it. You know, they had that big win over Kansas State the week before. It offensively, it's kind of been a renaissance when it was so bad. It was so ugly. I mean, people were talking about Mike Gundy. You know, hey, is it time to move on? They may still be talking about it. But when I look at this Oklahoma State team, I think they can find a way to score some points. But what this game is going to come down to is who can get the stops in the red zone. I know that's an obvious thing. And West Virginia, they're a run-first team. That's how, you know, Neil loves balance. Neil's a guy that does want to throw it around a little bit. But this team has run the ball so exceptionally. And it's not that they're hitting an unbelievable amount of explosive runs. Donaldson's not a back that can really take the top off. But they're very methodical in what they do. So I feel like this is going to be somewhat of a low-scoring game. I don't think this is going to be a track meet like it seems like Oklahoma State's been in the past couple weeks. I do like West Virginia to bounce back, be pissed off at home. I don't think this team is mentally fragile enough to let last week just destroy the equity that they've built up this year. So give me West Virginia to find a way. The key is not letting Oklahoma State get confidence on offense early. You need to remind them that they're bad offensively. And that goes with the methodology of how you want to work offensively. Take your time, run the ball, play action. I like the young kid Green at quarterback for West Virginia. He's got some dog in him. You know, led that drive last week that should have won the game, converted the 4th and 12, I think it was, hit the seam route and scored the touchdown. So to me, it's West Virginia. You got to take away Oklahoma State's hope on offense early.
West Virginia has one of the best home field advantages in the country.
Oh, hands down.
Burning couches.
Well, you got to think this Oklahoma State team. What were they doing at the beginning of the year? Way too much. They're turning the football over. I mean, the last 2 weeks, 0 turnovers. All right, and that's huge, especially when you bring a new quarterback in, and they've been rolling kids on the ground. You got to remember, 174 yards against Kansas State, 218 yards against Kansas. But this West Virginia team has yet to allow up 160 yards.
They run it well and stop the run.
And West Virginia loves to sit on the ball. I expect West Virginia to sit on the ball 30 probably plus minutes, hold the tempo of the game. This game is at West Virginia. I think both teams play well, but I think West Virginia wins it close.
Tennessee at Alabama. I saw you put out a poll. Who do you trust more, Joe Milton or Jalen Milroe? What were the results of that poll?
Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe. And I think that's the right answer. You know, who do I trust more on 3rd and 8? You know, I should have said 3rd and 5 because it seems like Jalen Milroe, if it's 3rd and 8 or over, he's going to convert it every time, yet they can't convert 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 5. I think at this point, and they're in 2 different points of their careers, I think Joe Milton is who he is at this point, right? We know we've got enough sample size. Guys typically don't blossom this late. Like Jalen Hurts, what happened with him as a thrower typically doesn't happen, right? It's the other way. All right, hey, you're a fastball guy. You can throw the changeup every now and then. You have a little bit of nuance, but this is who you are. You're going to struggle to make the routine throws routine. I think Jalen Milroe has that ability to have touch. It's like Mike Leach said, second time I've referenced him. It's hard to put touch and accuracy into somebody. Typically, you're born with that, and you learn it over time in throwing, or you're just able to do it out the gate, like, you know, Patrick Mahomes, somebody like that. But I think by the time Jalen Milroe is further along in his progression, he has the capability to be a nuanced passer. Is he going to be an unbelievably accurate passer or the most accurate passer in the country? I don't think so, but I think he has a lot more growth potential in that area than Joe Milton has. I think Joe Milton is your typical closer, come in for an inning, throw the fastball, throw it 102, off speed's okay, it's hit or miss, struggle to control it, but we want to lower the sample size, get you in there and get you out. That's tough to do at quarterback, though.
You think Tennessee will be able to run the ball as effectively as they did against Texas A&M?
Not as effectively, but I think they'll have a good day on the ground, but not great. If you're Alabama, you're obviously excited about, Tennessee's receivers not being the same guys they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hyatt's not out there, but I feel like you have Squirrel Wright, you have Keaton. Those guys are good pieces, but in the back end, Bama will feel a lot better personnel wise because you look at that Texas A&M game. Styles make fights. Bama's going to be a different front. But I look at this one. If you're Tennessee, you have to at least almost be at 50% on third down in this game, especially if you're going to be on the road. And if they do that, I think they can keep it close. But I'm leaning on Alabama's experience in this game. I think Alabama, although Tennessee's defense has been solid this year, you go back to that Florida game, they got beat up in the front seven. I think Alabama's going to be able to run the ball a little bit, maybe better than they have been all year. And I think Milroe makes the throws in clutch situations that Joe Milton's not going to. So I'm leading Alabama this game. Still, 9.5 is a lot of points to me.
Tennessee fans, don't miss our Saturday special tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
Utah at USC. I know you guys are big on USC this week to bounce back after the loss against Notre Dame. What would it take for Utah, really, the keys to victory to win this game on the road?
The path is very narrow. You're going to have to limit possessions. You're going to have to be able to limit possessions and offensively, keeping USC's offense on the field. How do you do that? You run the ball. How do you do that? You convert third downs. Looks like Bryson Barnes is going to be the guy at quarterback. So I think the throwing ability is a little bit better with Bryson Barnes. Obviously, the running ability is less. Not that Bryson can't run it, but Nate Johnson is an elite runner of the football at the quarterback position. Not a great thrower. Bryson Barnes is a better thrower, not an elite runner. If I'm Kyle Whittingham, the perfect recipe, limit possessions, right? It's tough for Caleb Williams to beat you when he's on the sideline. I think this USC team can score on this Utah defense enough to where Utah can't keep up. So you limit possessions. I think you need a big special teams play. Do not be shocked to see a fake punt. Do not be shocked to see a fake field goal. Do not be shocked to see a reverse on a kickoff return or a fake reverse or something wonky in the special teams game to try and either do one of two things: steal some points or steal a possession that then leads to stealing points. Because limiting possessions isn't just running the ball, right? There's other ways to try and do it. What I'm most interested to see, decision-making wise for Utah, is how much do they take out of Notre Dame's playbook, keep everything in front, umbrella, pressure, mix it up. See, the answer to slowing down an offense like this, it's not one-pronged. It's multi-pronged. I think sometimes we fall into a habit in sports media of, all right, how can you stop them? There's this one thing you do, right, to stop them. That's not how it works. You may have an identity for the game of this is the one thing I want to do, or this is, we want to make sure we pressure more than we don't. But it's always multi-pronged because you have to have an answer for their answer. It's a game of adjustment. So, David, it's a pretty narrow path. I think it's narrow like South Carolina's narrow at Missouri. I mean, Spencer Rattler's going to have to throw for 400 yards. You need a big play on special teams.
How much will Utah be able to take a page out of Notre Dame's playbook against USC?
It better be the page you read. You better LeBron this thing. You better read one page and act like you read the whole damn thing. If you're Utah, you win this game, you have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And you have to have more than half
you have to dominate.
A time of possession.
You have to
if you want
dominate.
to beat this USC team. USC can score against Utah. We've seen that in past years. But sooner or later, man, Caleb Williams is going to be Caleb Williams, even if he paints his nails and wants 25% of the Bears. I get it. But you just can't score with USC. I like USC to cover.
All right, Clemson at Miami.
This might be the best game all weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one. I know Van Dyke's a little beat up, but hell, who isn't at this point of the year? I think despite the Wake Forest setback and you won, the high-class problem. When I look at this Clemson team, I think Cade Klubnik is getting better. I think he's improving. That's what happens when you get experience. And I think he's got a lot of ability. I think Cade's going to end up shining as his career moves on. But I think this is one of those games where we see Clemson's lack of skill players on the outside be able to make big plays and get separation hurts them very, very badly, because I think Miami is much more athletic on defense than Clemson is on offense. I think Clemson can slow Miami down a lot offensively, but eventually Tyler Van Dyke and Restrepo and those guys are going to hit a couple plays, right? I think this is a low-scoring game. I think Miami's defense puts Clemson in a very bad position. I think you're going to see Clemson try and supplement the lack of a run game in this game, because I think Miami can stop that too with some quick passing game on the outside. Maybe that can get the defensive backs up. Then you take your shots, you run your stocks and go, you run your post wheels, your things like that to try and manufacture separation outside of just saying, go be better than him on the 9 route. I actually like Miami to win this game. I think Miami bounces back from 2 losses, including the self-inflicted wound that was the Georgia Tech game. Then obviously last week went on the road against a buzzsaw North Carolina who's playing as good as anybody right now, especially in the ACC. I'm very interested to see how they finish. But I like Miami. I think the physicality on defense, them getting Cade Klubnik into 3rd and long and making Cade Klubnik force the action, that's still his one bugaboo. It's a lot of quarterbacks' bugaboos that are still old, not just young guys. I watched Derek Carr try and force the action a couple times down the field last night, including a pick 6 that ended up costing them. So, yeah, I like Miami in this game. I think the key is just making their skill position players show how mortal they are.
Miami is at home.
God, this is a tough game to pick right here. I mean, just slate-wise, I think I'm going to lean Clemson in this game, and I like Will Shipley. I think Clemson's going to control the line of scrimmage up front. Miami's defense, I'm not super impressed with. They got a couple cats running around out there. But I think Clemson goes back to looking like Clemson this week. With the Dabo comments, I wouldn't be surprised if they roll up these boys a little bit.
All right, one more here. Penn State goes to Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, look, the key for Penn State is what we've been talking about all week. Can you hit explosive plays to be able to score points? I mean, you've got an elite defense. I think Ohio State has an elite defense. I love the matchup of Penn State's front 7 versus Ohio State's offensive line, not just in the run game, but in pass pro too. Ohio State had to replace their centers and both their tackles. But can Drew Aller in this offense hit enough explosive plays to be able to counterbalance the 2 to 3 explosive plays that Marvin Harrison Jr. or Igbuka looks like he's coming back, or Stover, or maybe one of these guys out of the backfield, even though they're beat up, to be able to counterbalance that and keep them in the game? I think this is going to be a 1-score game. I think it's going to be low scoring. It's going to come down to, can an offense that's protected their quarterback, because why wouldn't you when you have an elite defense and a really good run game, can they hit enough big plays? Can they put the ball in the end zone, in the red zone, and not just settle for field goals so you don't get beat because Marvin Harrison Jr. made one play in the second half that beat you?
Well, the big thing for me in this game, you look up front on both sides of the ball. Penn State, Chop Robinson, and these fellas can get to Kyle McCord. And people have been getting to Kyle McCord, they're 8th in the Big Ten right now and giving up sacks. So it is doable, because if you do get to Kyle, he doesn't have time to throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. He doesn't have time to throw to Igbuka and Stover and all these guys. And you flip it on the other side, I mean, Penn State's going to have to hit big plays. Drew Aller's a great player, but he really hadn't proved it to me yet against an elite defense, and he will be playing elite defense Saturday. I think Drew Aller makes at least 2 mistakes, whether that's a fumble and a pick or 2 picks. But I do think he's not going to look like the same guy like Ohio State in this game. This game's only getting bet up. It's at 5.5 now. It was at 3.5. So a lot of people are starting to lean Ohio State when they started to lean Penn State early in the week. But I think Ohio State's a more complete team. So give me the Buckeyes in this one. I think you can play.
It's going to be a great week, boys.
It is.
Great weekend.
We're excited. All right, going to get back to the chat. Remember, we have calls coming up here. Literally, the lines open in 8 minutes. So go ahead and get ready. 1-855-236-3228. But speaking about getting ready, right? If you stay ready, you never have to get ready. And if you've ever wondered how much of your personal info is floating around on the internet, well, I hate to break the news to you, but in today's digital age, a lot of stuff's out there. A lot of stuff's out there that you don't even know. You'll Google your name and you will be shocked by the amount of personal info that you have, whether it's data brokers, hackers, anyone with an internet connection can find out your personal details, photos, and sensitive information. So if you want to take control and protect your personal information, you need to sign up with our friends at Delete Me. It's a hands-free subscription service that will remove your personal information that's being sold online. It's an unbelievably simple process. You submit the info you'd like to have removed, and Delete Me's experts, they'll search the internet to find it and remove it. We got our reports back. Yep. I had them delete a bunch of stuff that I didn't know was on there. I'm talking address, phone number, pictures, social security number, all type of stuff that you do not want out on the internet, right, for people to sell and trade however the hell they do it. Delete Me knocks it out. They have an entire blog section on their website about data privacy, data brokers, breaches, and more. They also share DIY output tutorials on their website so you can remove data on your own. And now you can get 20% off of your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/crane. That's JOIN delete me, JOIN deleteme.com/crane. That's CRAIN, my last name. Use our promo code CRANE, CRAIN. That's the only way to get 20% off. Go to joindeleteme.com/crane. Use that promo code, joindeleteme.com/crane. All right, Booster Club.
Let's go to Brock. He says, it's a new kickoff, so perhaps the fans aren't as animated. Ohio State still has the advantage in the trenches. Penn State is going to have to play a clean football game.
It's going to have to be clean because it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight game, so you're going to have to play it clean. This is, again, we always say on the show, a lot of teams lose games. They don't win them. This could be a great example of that.
Let's go to Devin, #AskCraneCompany. What remaining games on Washington's schedule is most likely to end in an upset? Do you think they can finish the season undefeated to go to the Pac-12 championship?
Well, let's take a look.
Look, Washington's one of the best teams in the country. It would not shock me at all if they went undefeated and ended up having a rematch.
Look at their last 4
against Oregon. But we talked about this. Like, there's these 4 or 5 week stretches.
USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State.
And on the road, that is at USC, that is at Oregon State. I think they end up with 1 loss and play rematch Oregon again in the Pac-12 championship.
All right, let's go to Voltar, #AskCraneCompany. He says, why do y'all hate Tennessee?
Don't hate Tennessee.
Is that the same guy who pleaded for me to stop picking them?
I believe it is, Dave.
Voltar, don't miss tomorrow. That's all I got to say to you.
Yeah, nobody hates Tennessee, but like I'm going to tell you what I really think's going to happen. Just like I said that I thought Tennessee was going to win the other weekend. It was going to beat A&M. Picked them last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what you want. I'm going to pick what I think's going to happen.
Nah, you hate them.
Yeah.
Look, if you want someone to hate them, I'm all here for it, bud. I'm right here. Hate. Let's choose violence. I'm fine with it. Let's go to Eddie. He says the more Tennessee blitzes, the clearer the picture Milroe will have.
Milroe, yep.
If it isn't there, the play breaks down faster, which means he can't escape faster and frustrates the Tennessee defense. Someone told me a stat. I was doing Twitter space last night. Milroe's like 70% against the blitz.
Really?
Yeah. I'm making him have to read the whole thesaurus. I'm not throwing a pop-up book. I'm not saying here's what we got. Again, you can show that pressure, right? I'm not saying you never pressure. Like you want to obviously, you don't want him to sit back there and have all day. But in that same token, like Alabama's wide receivers were whipping A&M so bad that the first option was open every time. It made it easier in that way too. So if you're going to pressure, you're going to be naked in the back end. It makes that decision a whole hell of a lot easier. It takes a lot of the thinking out of it.
All right, let's go to Jose. He says Milton is a Michael Chiklis thing on Fantastic Four. Super strong, but can't grab the coffee cup without breaking it.
That's a great way to put it. Michael Chiklis, the Shield, right? Is the guy in the Shield?
Not sure.
All right, let's get to our NFL preview.
All right, let's do it. Last night, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars holding off the Saints. I'm done carrying water for Derek Carr. I've always liked the guy. I like his energy.
Really, Dave?
I like his attitude. But, man, it's getting ugly.
Here, let me help you on the boat. Welcome.
I mean, they did come back and tie it at the end. Trevor Lawrence looked healthy.
Yeah, he did.
Running the ball.
He took off a couple times.
He took off a couple times.
Go ahead, man.
No, I just wish that they would take off under center when it's 4th and 1 and just do the tush push.
Yeah.
Like Dougie, for all the great calls, like Doug's a great play caller. Phenomenal. I just don't understand. And they're like, well, his knee's messed up. Doug, he ran for 70-plus yards. You're more worried about him sneaking the football, getting hurt, than him running around the entire game, making cuts. Like, that's the one thing that got me in this game. But, hey, Derek Carr's below mid. I mean, right now, if you're the Saints, you got the pieces. I mean, Olave. I mean, Alvin Kamara's back. You got Michael Thomas. I mean, once you get your starting tight end back, it's just you missed again on Derek Carr. So if I'm the Saints, I'm immediately going for a quarterback in the draft.
Dennis Allen's been a head coach for 5 years. 2012, he went 4-12. 2013, to set the Raiders, 4-12. 2014, started out 0-4, got fired. Hired at the head coach in New Orleans. 2022, went 7-10. 2023, he is now 3-4 for an overall record of 18-42 as a head coach.
Wow.
Man.
Thank you.
That's one.
Thank you.
Fired. Thank you. Fired. It's done. Got to get him out. Can't do it. And I like Dennis Allen.
So
as a person,
this will be his last season in New Orleans, you think? But Derek Carr will still be the starting quarterback next year, or do they do what Dragon said?
I do think Derek Carr will be the starting quarterback next year because he's caught in the recycling bin. That's what they do with some of these guys. They may not be good players, but they've played long enough and they haven't been backups, and they're such a household name that they'll be able to start somewhere. We see this with coaches all the time. They just recycle them. Derek Carr's not a good quarterback right now in the NFL. I think there's other guys that aren't playing. I'm not talking about Kaepernick. There's other guys that aren't playing that are better quarterbacks than Derek Carr.
So who would be your candidate to be the next head coach in New Orleans?
You know, you look around at some of the assistants in the league right now. I mean, it's easy to always go to like the places, the teams that are having the most success and say, okay, he needs to be a head coach. It's something I'd have to really sit down and think about. I don't think they'd go to college, right? I don't think the Saints would go to college. I think they would keep it in the NFL. I'm looking around right now off the top of my head. Hell, whoever the OC is for the Dolphins, I don't think
they'll recycle somebody. They always
Yeah.
recycle coaches in the league. But this is one of those cases. You go back to the Raiders with McDaniels. I mean, Dennis just feels like a coordinator, right? He's a defense coordinator.
Yeah, we see this in college.
He just said the transition to head coach it's not a fit. I think he needs to go back to being the coordinator.
Jags had a nice fake punt yesterday. Did you see that one?
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. Wasn't expected. I love Doug
What
Peterson.
a throw, dude.
But I do want to ask you guys about Calvin Ridley, right? A lot of hype coming in from the offseason about what he was going to add to the Jaguars offense. In week 1, we really saw it, right? Even the first couple weeks. What, did he have a catch last night?
Yeah.
For 5
Yeah, he
yards,
definitely bet the
something
under
like that?
receptions.
What's going on with Calvin Ridley when it comes to the Jags offense?
I don't think it's anything like Calvin doesn't know the plays or he's not out there playing hard. I just think that the game really hasn't, the game last night never really opened up to him, right? They took some shots at him. I mean, he almost had an incredible catch on the sideline. His left foot was barely out. I think they need to get him going a little bit earlier. I think they need to give him some quick game, get him some stuff underneath. We know that the defense knows, because when you look at the Jaguars, who really scares you the most out of that wide receiver core? I mean, it's Christian Kirk.
Yeah,
right?
Zay Jones is hurt.
And because Zay's hurt, and it's Calvin Ridley. Christian Kirk hurt him on the touchdown last night, the awful tackling by the Saints. I'm not scared of Agnew. Like, Evan Ingram really didn't do much. A lot of it was Etienne on the ground last night and Trevor on the ground, honestly, last night, an intermediate passing game. But it seems to me like Calvin Ridley is one of those guys where if he doesn't get going early, he's almost out of the rest of the game. I think they need to not force feed it. You always want to let the offense come to you, what the defense is, take what the defense is giving you. But I think they need to give him some chances early.
Well, I just think he ran in a game called you were playing against Marcus Lattimore. That's what I think he ran into. Marcus Lattimore trailed him for most of the game. Marcus Lattimore is a top 5 DB in the league. He's an absolute star.
Almost had that pick last night.
Yeah, almost had that pick last night. So I think Calvin's performed well the entire year. And the Jags have great pieces at receiver, running back, and tight end. So he gets his fill when he needs it. You just ran into a guy who's a Pro Bowler and top 5, and they doubled on most third downs too.
3 mega matchups I want you guys to weigh in on here this weekend. Dolphins at the Eagles. We were talking about this line yesterday. It was like -3.5 or +3.5 Dolphins, then +2.5 Dolphins. What do you think about the Dolphins going on the road to Philly?
God, nah, over. The over. Now we're talking about who's going to win the game. Love the Dolphins offensively. I think the Eagles coming off a loss. I think the Eagles are the more physical team. I think they're the more balanced team all around. I know that doesn't mean you always win. Look at the Oregon-Washington game. But I think this is one of those games where Tua turns the ball over a couple times. I think this Eagles defense is going to get to him. I think Tua's been pretty clean in the pocket, right? They're doing a good job of getting the ball out too. Not that they're not working down the field. I'm not Stephen A. Smithing this thing. But I feel like the Eagles are going to be able to keep that offense off the field with the way that they run the ball. I feel like this is one of those games where Jalen Hurts goes nuts. It's another Bama versus Bama battle, right? Jalen versus Tua. I know they're buddies, but I still think this is somewhat personal for Jalen Hurts because Tua came in and took his cookies at Bama. One of the reasons he left to go to Oklahoma. And Jalen had that great game in the SEC Championship where he came back in and helped lead him to victory. But I think, Tua, Daniel Day-Lewis'dom, there will be blood. I drink your milkshake.
My boy.
We saw Miami.
My boy.
We saw Miami go on the road to the Bills. The tough loss there. Do you think it's something similar here to Philly?
Man, this is one of those games I got to know who's playing. Right now, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, Lane Johnson questionable, Jalen Carter questionable, Devontae Smith questionable, Dallas Goedert questionable. And the biggest piece to me in that entire thing is Lane Johnson. If Lane Johnson's not out there, I mean, it looks like a different Eagles football team, and it should. The guy's one of the best tackles ever to play, but it's hard for me to pick against the Dolphins. It really is. These guys are absolutely rolling, especially, Philly coming off losing to the Jets. I think they'll obviously want to play better, and I think they will. But Tua, until someone can prove to me they can stop Tyreek Hill, I'm going to roll with the Dolphins.
All right, 2-3 Chargers at the 1-loss Chiefs. It's going to be a good one this weekend.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs. Brandon Staley, I'm just, and it's not all his fault. He is the head coach. The buck stops with him. But just looking at the Chargers, man, you had your opportunities against the Cowboys on the offensive line, and I know Micah Parsons and them are really, really talented. But Chiefs have some guys up front too. Chris Jones is an absolute menace to society. I'm going to take the Chiefs, who, Mahomes hasn't played great recently. He's kind of due for one of those games. I do think this one's going to be rather high scoring. It tends to be that way when the Chiefs and Chargers play, but I'll take the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Chargers got your former teammate Austin Eckler back last weekend, still lost to the Cowboys at home.
Got to get him going. I think he only had 40 yards on the ground. Actually took him in a prop that day, and he did not hit. This game's at Kansas City?
Yep.
Yes.
Damn. All right, I'm going to roll with the Chiefs. It's at Kansas City. These guys always play tight. I mean, there's going to be points. You're going to see Herbert slinging around. You're going to see Patty Mahomes slinging around. But the difference in this game, to me, is that guy who's on the defense for the Chiefs, and that's Nick Bolton. The dude flies around, makes probably 80% of the tackles. Him and Chris Jones are an absolute problem. So I'm rolling with the Chiefs in this one.
All right, last one here. 5-1 Lions. Let me say that again. The 5-1 Lions on the road to the 4-2 Baltimore Ravens.
Man, this is a great matchup. You have two teams with very different identities in how they go about things. Lamar's knocked the rust off. He was really rusty early. He wasn't the reason they lost a couple weeks ago. He had 8 drops for a total 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, something crazy. I love what the Lions are doing. Baltimore's really tough at home. Why does this feel like a Justin Tucker 58-yard field goal to win it? The aliens that the Ravens have running around on defense, I think they can limit the run game for the Lions. Not that the passing game isn't good with the gumball smuggler and Jared Goff and getting J-Mo back early. That was huge. David Montgomery continues to get beat up. I think the Lions struggle to run the ball. I think Jared Goff turns it over a couple times, and Justin Tucker hits a 57-yard field goal to win it.
Look, I feel like the Lions are a wagon this year, and I'm going to stay on that wagon. I'm not jumping off to it until they prove me otherwise. Man, the game in the trenches will be, you want to hear what football's about? This game on both sides of the ball is going to be a lot of helmets and pads hitting. And look, the big key in this, Lions, can you stop the run and can you limit Lamar Jackson, especially on the ground? The receivers have been letting down Lamar Jackson the entire year, but the Ravens are a good football team. They have Roquan Smith on defense. It's absolute animals flying around. But I'm running with the Lions. Jared Goff, the gumball smuggler, looks great. Amon St. Brown, the sun god, 30-point fantasy week last week. The Ravens like to run a lot of man coverage, so I'm rolling with the Lions and Amon. I think it's going to be close.
And the Lions stop the run.
It's going to be close.
Yep. Agreed.
The Lions stop the run. All right, we got the phone lines open. Gonna get to Booster Club show. I want to get to our locks, leans, and dogs.
Let's go, baby. Let's go,
really
baby.
Hot in these.
Big week.
All right, really hot. Don't think you'd be crazy to put all these locks together in a parlay or take them singled. All right, here's what I got. Locked in USC -6.5 earlier in the week. It's at -7 right now. I'm going to tell you the lines are as they are right now, but buy this thing down to 6.5. Just trust me. So USC -7 at -112. Tulane is hosting North Texas. North Texas defense is offensive. Give me the Tulane total team points over 41.5 at -115. Just, again, believe in them offensively. Willie Fritz, I think they're going to run through this defense like a finish line. Well, how many can North Texas score? That's the reason I didn't take the over. I'm not sure against this Tulane defense. We know how talented they are. Then my leans, Bama, Tennessee, under 47.5. You can get it under 48.5. Great. I think this is going to be low scoring because I don't think Tennessee can convert red zone appearances into touchdowns. I think it's going to be field goals. I think Tennessee will get Jalen Milroe on the ground for at least 3 to 4 sacks. A low-scoring game, but I do like Bama in it, under 47.5, -110. Then Toledo on the road at Miami, Ohio. Huge game in the MAC. I know they got Little Gabbert, who's in year 17 for Miami, Ohio, and they got a coach that looks like he was imprinted in from the 1950s. But I think Toledo is the best team. Jason Candle is a guy I think is going to get a big-time Power 5 job here in the next 2 or 3 years. And then my dogs hit Bowling Green last week. Shout out to my dog, Scotty Leffler. All right. Illinois against Wisconsin. Look, I had too much faith in Wisconsin. I thought Luke Fickell in year 1 with Tanner Mordecai coming in and Phil Longo, the OC from North Carolina, coming in would do more damage. They have struggled. It's looked really, really difficult. Then Navy.
And Tanner Mordecai broke his hand, I think.
Tanner Mordecai broke his hand?
I saw it broke his hand or fractured his hand or something like that.
Wow. That explains a lot. Navy at home against Air Force, whose quarterback I believe is out for the rest of the season. Went from 11-point dog, 10.5-point dog. Take a money line. Coach Newberry in his first year, Navy +285, and that's how we're going to bring jobs back to the Tar Heel State.
Go ahead, bud.
All right, let's roll through today. Big week. Let's keep it going. Give me Texas minus 22.5 against Houston. I think Texas is going to absolute dog walk these kids. They're going to win the battle up front. I don't even have to go in depth on this one. And then I'm rolling with the boys again.
Wagon.
Why wouldn't I roll with them, David? They're absolutely mopping kids. Give me Michigan, minus 24, minus 110 against Michigan State. Someone tell Mel Tucker to get off the phone. All right, for my leans this week, give me Ole Miss. I'm betting against Auburn for every game for the rest of the year just because it's the right thing to do. Minus 6.5, minus 115. I know this game is at Jordan-Hare. Weird things happen, but trust me, there's not a miracle running on that field to get behind that offensive line. They give me UNC minus 23.5. UNC has been a wagon this year. I think these guys are for real. I was in the space last night. Drake May, in my opinion, looks like the number one pick in the nation, and I think they cover again. All right, give me Minnesota playing against Iowa. These are my dogs, the two kids who sit by themselves during lunch. Give me Minnesota plus 146. Do not watch this game. It's going to be a terrible watch. And give me Miami, Ohio.
Boo.
Plus 112 against Toledo. The Birds, baby. Blaine Gabbert's little brother. What Jake said, he's there in his 30th year. It's going to be a close one. Special teams, baby.
And they're at home. They're at home.
Action.
All right. They say life's too short to take the under. Guess I'm not living long. This is my third straight week locking in some unders. Iowa, Minnesota, under 32.5. I know that number is shockingly low, but these offenses are shockingly bad at times. Plus, good defenses too. So the combination of both Iowa and Minnesota playing each other, I'm going to take the under. And I'm going to do the same thing in the UCLA-Stanford game, under 55. That one's going down, though. That one keeps going down. So.
Is this? I'm so nervy after what happened with Oregon or UCLA and
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
But Oregon State, DJ Uiagalelei played well. I don't think Stanford has the cats to be able to score. Remember, Utah scored 14 on them, and one was a pick six.
Yeah.
Remember? So I just like the UCLA Stanford under 55. That line in some places is 54.5, some places even 53.5. So I would jump on that. Also, going into my leans, I'm going to go Bama, Tennessee under 47.5. I think this is a 27-17 type game. Even if it ended up being 27-20, you would hit by the hook. So pay attention to that line if it moves at all. And you know what, boys? I'm also going to lean Michigan. You won me over this week. Michigan minus 24 combined with the absolute witch hunt assault that's coming out against my boys and Jim Harbaugh. It's unacceptable. And you heard the rumors that Michigan State didn't want to play this game. They were considering not playing this game when the reports came out. The Big Ten called all these schools about this sign-stealing allegations, and I really couldn't talk any trash about it because Michigan did this 3 years ago when they didn't play a game when it was COVID, so I can't say too much about it. Michigan State has said they're going to move forward and play the game, and you know what? Here comes Papa. Give me Michigan minus 24.
Yeah, murder now.
Minus 110. Then my dog bets. Remember on these dog bets, it's not just who you think could win a football game, but also what sort of value are you getting on the bet. I'm going to go with Miami plus 130. Look, I think this is a coin flip right now. Hosting Clemson. If Clemson were plus 130, I'd be putting them in the dog section as well. Miami plus 130 at home. I really like that. And then also another home dog here. You can get BYU plus 130 hosting Texas Tech. Both these teams coming off a loss, but BYU is 4-2 on the season. They're at home plus 130. I like them.
No, without a doubt. All right, tell us, what locks do you have? What leans do you have? What dogs do you have? And speaking about telling us, let's get to the Booster Club really quickly. About to take those calls.
Let's go to Ghost Coast Spartan. As one of the resident Spartan fans in the chat, I'd like to congratulate Cone on the Michigan win this weekend. After the Rutgers collapse, I have no faith in the coaches getting this one right.
Good
for you.
Urban Meyer. Urban, what do you think, Ghost? What do you think about Urban? I don't know what you think.
All right, let's go to Chat and Bussy, $10 donation. As a lifelong Seminoles fan, it's frustrating how we keep getting left out of the college football playoff conversation. What is FSU missing to be part of the big dogs of the college football comp?
Not us. We ain't keeping you out of it.
They're in my top 4. We
started you off at third before the season.
Yeah.
I mean, look around. You've got Georgia that's undefeated, right? You've got Michigan that's undefeated. Everybody's just been enthralled with the Pac-12 because it's a great story, right? We know, Oklahoma's a fantastic story. But, I mean, I don't think Florida State's getting left out of the national conversation. I think a lot of people are just assuming that Florida State is going to kind of roll for a while. I just don't think they've had, that since the beginning of the year, not that they haven't played anybody, but, I mean, let's honestly look at their schedule. You haven't had those humongous games here lately. The longer this thing goes, the more it's going to shake out. We know that. We can talk and laugh about all the chaos scenarios and all the crazy stuff that could happen. Now you've got Duke this week, right? which Duke, it's a lot different than it used to be when Duke was bad, but it's still not a huge brand name in football. You're expected to beat them. You're a 14.5-point favorite at least. You got Duke, then you got at Wake, then you got at Pitt, then you've got unranked Miami, then you've got North Alabama, I believe, then you've got at Florida. You just need to keep handling business. You handle your business, you go undefeated, you win the ACC championship, you are going to be in the playoff. Yep. Right now, to be honest with you, not having too much noise may be the best thing for your football team. I know it may not be fun to turn on the news and sports media, and not everybody's talking about Florida State all the time, but you're kind of in that nice little honey hole spot.
You always need to worry about the quiet ones.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's nice to have one of the best armies and the element of surprise.
Let's go to Rolly season, $5 donation. Why don't you send one of them Rollies into the show, buddy? It says James Pierce versus Tennessee, for Tennessee versus Bama's freshman tackle. A bad day for Milroe. Do better grow up quick. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Go Big Orange.
Hope you are too. Yeah, look, Alabama's offensive line has been unbelievably susceptible to giving up sacks. I think this is one of the things that's going to keep Tennessee in the game. But here's the question. When you do get Bama in 3rd and 12 and 3rd and 15, nobody's able to get him off the field. It's like that's when Jalen Milroe feels the most comfortable. I've never seen somebody feel the most, look so comfortable with an 0-2 count in my life than Jalen Milroe. Because I think all the pressure's off. I think it's like, well, 3rd and 6, I don't got to fit it through a donut hole here in the intermediate, even though that last pass he made against Arkansas to get that first down was
he layered that ball.
That's
his best
really
pass
nice.
all year. I don't care.
But it's almost like the pressure's off. It's like, oh, it's 3rd and 13. Nobody thinks we're going to get this. Hey, Hugan!
Yeah. No one guards Burton.
Nobody guards Jermaine Burton. You know, on a 15-yard comeback on 3rd and 14, it just sticks, or the post, or the vert.
All right, so G. Hurt wants to know what y'all's thought on Eastern Michigan plus 12.5 in his book. It's a lock.
At Northern Illinois, right?
I do not know.
I'm going to make sure I'm right here. I look at these MAC games all the time because you can get some really good value, even though it's just dangerous betting it. Yeah, they're at Northern Illinois, excuse me. Why is Northern Illinois a 12-point favorite in this game? Got to be an injury. There's got to be an injury. Eastern Michigan's not great, but I've watched Northern Illinois get absolutely poompa slammed into the wall. Northern Illinois has what, and I will say this: NIU did beat Ohio last week, 23-13.
Really, Ohio?
I don't know that one's. I got to look more into that one. That one's making me nervous. G. Herd. I'll let you know on social, but let's get to calls, D.
All right, let's do it. We have got Zach in Virginia, and I want to hear what he has to say. Zach, what's going on?
Zach, man.
What's going on, boys?
Zach, what's up, buddy?
Man, let me tell you, I feel like Travis Tritt watching his sack of Uncle Ben spin around behind the glass. It is a great day to be alive, and it is a great day to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
Come on, baby.
Let's get to that in a second because I merely adopted the Mountaineers, but I've got orange and blue running in my blood. I'm about 4 hours into a 12-hour drive down to the loveliest village on the plains to watch the Auburn Tigers play.
Good. Enjoy the drive. I don't know if you enjoy the game.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been all that great for us so far this year, but let me pump a little sunshine. This is what Jake loves to say. I love to hear it every time he says it. This is going to be the worst Auburn team, worst Auburn roster that Hugh Freeze has in his entire coaching career here at Auburn. The amount of certified Angus beef he's got in these recruiting classes coming up is more than you can find in a Good Rancher's box.
Oh, God. Talk dirty to you, Zach.
And let me tell you something. Crazy things happen in Jordan-Hare at night. We saw what happened last year with the Texas A&M game when you had the fans turned up to 11. I think this defense makes a play. I'm going to go ahead and call my shot. I've got a Eugene Asante pick six that's going to put Auburn over the top. You know what happens when they score 30 at home? I think that is a guaranteed Auburn win. We're looking at 30-27 Auburn Tigers.
Zach, look, Zach. You're on the record. Number one, I respect it. Number two, Lane Kiffin always has those 1 or 2 games a year where they don't play well against a team that they are better than. And I will say this, this Hugh Freeze team, it's like that picture, right? Like you're planning to lose weight. It's that first picture you take in the mirror. That's this team. When you when you were at your worst, all right, when it was gross. All right, when you looked at that picture and I said, how did I let that happen to me? And then all of a sudden, you know what that picture looks like 2 years ago? You went from fat to flat.
Yeah.
That's what
Tony
Freeze is
Perkins
trying to take Auburn. But by going from fat to flat, he's trying to bring in some beef. It is a little
I just don't know if you can lose weight that quick.
Oh, with the transfer portal, you can.
No, I'm talking about this week. You can't lose weight. How much weight did we lose from the LSU game?
Well, it's at home. It's different, man. You know.
Look, Zach, you just came here and just get my hopes up, man. And I know I'm going to be disappointed. Look, I love you. You're in the trust tree, but don't do this to me, Zach. I thought we were tight.
Zach, do that to him, man.
I thought we were tight.
Do that to him.
Well, hey, look,
go ahead.
Look, you get that fat when you have nothing but potatoes for every single meal for 2 straight years.
That's
but
exactly
let me get
right.
the Mountaineers here for.
Oh, that's a Harsin joke.
Here for a quick second.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there you go.
Go ahead.
And we just got it.
Yeah.
So we got a big one in Morgantown. Neil Brown got a big one to kind of keep things rolling up there. And I just am kind of curious. I know you just broke the game down, but I'm kind of curious in what your opinion is on both of these programs, Oklahoma State and West Virginia, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the conference and the 4 corner schools coming in. Who do you see left in the Big 12 as the biggest brand, best college football program that will be left in the conference? Obviously, I'm biased. I think it's West Virginia with the history they've got with Pat White, Steve Slayton, Tavon Austin, Major White. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts. I'll hang up and listen, but God bless y'all. Y'all have a fantastic.
God bless you,
Zach.
Safe drive,
Thanks, buddy.
buddy.
Be safe driving down there. Thanks for the call. It's obviously going to create a vacuum, right, at the top. When you look at who the Big 12 is bringing in, I don't think there's that 1 or 2 brand names that are so much bigger than everybody else, like the Texas and Oklahoma, which makes it way more interesting. You look at some of the new teams as well, a team like Houston, right, in a city like that. What's the growth potential there? We'll see with Dana Holgerson. But what I find the most fascinating part about it is there's not one team that I look at and say that's the team that's definitely going to fill the vacuum. It could be Texas Tech. Kansas State, maybe, right, is a team that you could see getting in there. Texas Tech, you could see it. Baylor, I could see it. Oklahoma State, I could see it. I can go through the litany of teams, and we mentioned the new ones. That's what makes it the most interesting. That's, I think, the biggest feather in the Big 12's cap is that you have big brands, but they're all even. There's not really that big giant that's walking around like a Texas or an Oklahoma looking down at the other places. And I think that's going to be better for the conference. Then you add, obviously, the Arizona schools, what's going on there. I think it's a lot of really good brands, which should make for some really good parity, which should lead to some really good moments, which is a really good thing.
No doubt. All right, let's go to Matthew in Arkansas. Matthew, how's it going?
What's up, boys? Heartbroken Hog here. Happy Flaming Dragon Friday to y'all.
Of course.
Yes. You dragon.
Man, we got a must-win on the hill this weekend.
Yeah, Mississippi State, how are you feeling?
If we don't win this game, I think it's a who makes it through the day situation. I think Taninos would probably be fired coming off the field.
I agree with that. The question is,
maybe Bo.
Yeah, well, look, I think the question is if he loses this one, I know the buyout goes down after next year, but I'm sitting here looking at Arkansas's schedule.
Ain't great.
You're 2-5. You lose this one, you're 2-6.
Florida.
You go to Florida. Auburn and FIU are obviously very winnable at home. Then you got Missouri. I mean, he don't go to a bowl game this year. Are they going to fire him?
Trey Biddy talked about this, and he said that he thinks if they do decide to fire him, I think they're going to just let him retire. They just let him say he's resigning. He'll just let him go away, basically.
Yeah, I don't know, Sam. Look, I can see Sam already back at Georgia.
Well, I think Sam may be done. I think he may take his money and go to the lake.
He said Arkansas would be his last job.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go back to being an assistant.
Yeah, this is I think we can get it turned around, though. I think I'd say we will cover the spread this weekend. I'm seeing about a 10-point victory, maybe like 31-21, something like that.
Old confidence builder?
Get me over game.
I think, take the win into the bye week, work on some things, come out and go 4-1 down the stretch overall. And make
They're all
that bowl
winnable
game.
games on your schedule. I mean,
Yeah, if
Florida,
you play well.
even Missouri at home is a winnable game, and definitely, Auburn at home and FIU. So, look, you can end in a high note, and Sam needs it just sucks to even talk about this because I love Coach Pittman so much.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Matthew, thank you. Good luck, buddy.
Love you guys.
Love you, bud.
Love you, brother.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, Glegby in Chattanooga. What's going on, Glegby?
All right. So I want to talk about that Michigan thing y'all were talking about at the beginning of the show, because I think I have a perspective on it you may not be considering. So you guys mentioned, why don't they just ignore the NCAA? And emotionally, I love that idea. I think it would be hilarious. The problem is, I'm guessing, and admittedly, I'm not a sports lawyer. I don't know this for 100% certainty. Although I'd love to be a sports lawyer, so if anyone out there is an athlete looking for representation, you can go ahead and call me. No, I would be willing to bet that each school has a very robust contract with the NCAA. And I am sure that contract involves allowing the NCAA to enforce their rules with punishments. And so if you have a situation where Jim Harbaugh just decides to not follow the punishment, that could easily result in a breach of contract lawsuit. And in fact, it would probably really screw over Harbaugh, because I would be willing to bet that Michigan would throw him under the bus and just say, hey, he was acting totally outside the scope of his employment, guys. That's not on us. We told him not to do it. That's all on him. You can just sue him and we're getting out of here. So I actually think that in the long run, it would probably really screw his all of his chances here to do anything. So unfortunately, I think it's probably best for them to just follow the rules, even if the rules are stupid and annoying.
Well, let me ask you this. If you had a company that you knew was going bankrupt, and let's say that you had a contract with Enron, and Enron tried to punish you when you knew they were going under and something was about to happen where they were going to lose all that power, and your punishment wasn't happening until a future date while an ongoing investigation was going on, what would be the harm in saying, well, we're going to appeal this for so long until you've lost power that we're not going to end up having to serve out the sentence?
Well, because the reality is that contract is still binding regardless, and so even if the NCAA
if the NCAA, which I think this is going to happen, if there's a commission that's formed in college football and the NCAA no longer regulates college football, they would still grandfather in the punishment at a place like Michigan for Jim Harbaugh if they broke away to make their own kind of college football. There's no way they'd enforce that. There's no way.
No. But the thing is, if the punishment and the dodging of the punishment takes place while he's still under that NCAA contract, then as long as the NCAA exists as an entity enough to enforce a contract, even if it doesn't have any power anymore, if the lawsuit starts with the NCAA has power, then the lawsuit can go on even after the NCAA doesn't have much power over them anymore.
Well, let me ask you this: even if let's say Michigan broke away and I'm just talking about college football. I'm not talking about college basketball or college baseball or any of that, so it's just college football. I think the minute that college football had their own commission and their own set of rules, all prior conduct, investigations, enforcement, infractions, it would all be set anew. I really think it would, because think about it. You're having to make new rules with NIL and the transfer portal and things like that. So I think they just wait them out, honestly, right? I think that's what they'd end up just doing. I mean, we see that in the other laws too. You just appeal.
No doubt.
Try and drag it out.
It's weird in the first place because this NCAA, which I view as still a racket, these teams like Michigan, that's what's driving your revenue. Here they sit number 2 in the country, could make the college football playoff, which is how you're even able to make all the money that you're making. I'm glad you formed a distinction between football and the rest of the sports. Really can't, the NCAA is still going to run the Final Four when you saw them hand down the punishments of Kansas and all that kind of stuff. stuff, it is completely different. Glegby, I don't disagree on the latter part of what you said, that, yeah, the Michigan and Ward Manuel and the athletic department could end up throwing Jim Harbaugh under the bus and just say, hey, you know, this guy's the one that did it. Yeah, no doubt. But, yeah, I think that Jim Harbaugh went out there and coached those first 3 games this season. Legitimate question, not just trolling. What's the NCAA going to do? Like, go get him off the field?
Right?
Fine? Like,
year.
you know? Like, we're in the middle of the season with the college football playoff, your biggest moneymaker, and keep in mind, you're a racket, okay? These are the people driving you the product and driving your revenue. What are you going to do?
You've been playing foosball behind my back?
I think that's a really good question. Because even if the NCAA's contract allows them to sue Jim Harbaugh personally, and let's say just for purposes of this hypothetical here, that they sue him literally like 4 months from now so that the NCAA still has power. Even in that situation, the NCAA authorities and their lawyers are going to have to sit down and say, is it worth the potential drop in our revenue just to save face? And I don't know. Maybe they're petty enough to do it. Who knows? But that is a good strategy question. They would have to answer.
Look,
and so maybe Harbaugh just calls their bluff and says, you're not going to do it. I make too much money for you.
Yeah. Look, I can tell you this right now. It's the NCAA, buddy. They're petty enough to do everything.
Well, this is why I think you should call their bluff. One, the 3 games Jim Harbaugh had to sit out this year, was that an NCAA punishment? No, that was self-imposed by Michigan. This new allegation here, is this the NCAA coming out and saying Michigan did X, Y, and Z, we're going to punish it? No, it's a Yahoo article. So I think these people are cowards, and I think that Jim Harbaugh should laugh in their face.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the legal perspective.
You may be right.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Glegby.
Great weekend, buddy.
See you, man. All right, let's go to Dane in the Pacific Northwest. Dane, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Dane, what's up, buddy?
Man.
So I disagree with you on Utah, but before that, I want to say that the NCAA, they're super petty, and the only reason they do these things is so they can decide who they want to pick on.
They're the ultimate
like
Karen.
The recruiting violation.
Yeah.
The NCAA is the ultimate
yes,
Karen. They're the ladies screaming at you because the way you parked in the mall.
It's like when the old recruiting violations, all the top teams did it, but they decided they wanted to cut Oregon scholarship.
Yeah.
Because of stuff with Chip Kelly.
Yeah, they're like, hey, there's 100,000 people storming the field. I don't like that guy. Let's arrest him.
Yeah. But as far as the Utah game, I think Utah is going to win, because if we look at this USC team, I mean, they haven't shown very much against the legitimate competition that they can score in the first half. And
yeah, I mean,
if Utah gets a lead, I mean, that USC can't stop the run or the pass, but especially the run.
Well, I think Utah's one-dimensional. Yeah, I think Utah is one-dimensional, even with Barnes in there. So I think it makes it easier for USC's defense. You're not having to defend both. But I as good as Utah is on defense, I think this USC offense can score on them. Like the question is, if you're Utah, can you score enough points offensively? If USC has a mediocre game on offense and they score 24 points or 27 points, can Utah score 28 against this USC defense right now? I don't know.
Well, I guess what would be the evidence to show that they can have a great start against a good team? This might be the best defense they've played. It's between Notre Dame and Utah, and I'd say it's relatively comparable.
Yeah, I would say
historically.
Mm-hmm.
Utah historically gives USC a bunch of troubles.
Yeah, they do. I mean, USC did drop a bag on them on offense last year in the conference championship. Here's what I'm saying. If there's anything about USC I know, it's that Caleb Williams, when he's right with the skill players that they have, they can score on just about anybody. The question for me is if I'm going to question USC's offense against Utah's defense, it's USC's offensive line against Utah's pass rush, because I do think that is the Achilles heel, per se, of this USC offense. It's not the skill position. It's not the guys they got at quarterback or Marshawn Lloyd at running back or any of the guys they got at wide receiver. I think it's the offensive line. So I can see your point there.
Totally.
Yeah, I just tend to lean toward, I think if USC is going to show up, there's a pretty good chance they're going to show up on offense and the defense is going to be a little bit, is going to struggle. But Utah's so one-dimensional. I think they almost make it easier.
Is it in Salt Lake or Los Angeles?
It's in Los Angeles.
Oh, I might have to take USC by like a few.
Dane, did we change your mind, Dane? Did we get it? Come on over. Come on.
No, it's more that it's like the Oregon game last week. Just the home field gave a massive advantage to Washington. I think if we played on a neutral site, Utah would win. But being at home, it's probably going to be a back and forth game. I'd probably just take the home field. It's kind of a toss-up.
Appreciate it, Dane.
Thanks Dane.
So much, man.
We agree. I'm glad we agree.
Yeah. All right, I want to try and get to 3 more. Let's rapid fire these. We got Keegan on the line in Iowa. Maybe Keegan Murray. What do you think?
Right.
Yeah, Keegan, you got 30 seconds here. What's going on, buddy?
Kings.
Yo, still not Keegan Murray. The redemption of Jared Goff, the gumball smuggler, has to be one of the best stories in football right now. He just balled over a very good Tampa Bay defense on Sunday.
I love it.
You beat
like Jared Goff. Jared Goff's like the dude you go in like at the Y or like at the rec, and he's like, probably close to 40. Took a long time to stretch. Doesn't have the newest. Got white sneakers on. Right, maybe a headband. Looked like he, walked on at Gonzaga. And then you're like, oh, we're going to murder this guy. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're getting absolutely fundamentally just diced on.
Goes to a Super Bowl with the Rams, loses it. Everyone says Sean McVay and the Rams can't win with this team until they get a quarterback. Gets traded to the Lions. It was just like the pit of the NFL for Matthew Stafford. Now look at what he's doing. Never complained, never like put a public chip on his shoulder and said everyone's doubting me. Just goes to work, man.
That's exactly right.
Heck yeah, let's do it against the Ravens.
Hey, look, I can't wait. That's you talk about styles make fights. I'm interested as hell to watch that one.
Yeah, I would love to say what I want to say, but I don't think I can say it.
Say what you want to say.
I mean, Jared Goff, real deal beat autism, and look at him now. He beat it.
All right. Well, that's why I should
What a
never
story.
tell. That's why I should never tell
your fault,
that
David.
dragon over there to say what he really thinks. Keegan, you see what happens over here on a Friday, man. Thanks for calling in, brother.
You won.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, here we go. Let's keep it rolling. 2 more. Ben is in Missouri. Ben, what's going on? We got 30 seconds here.
Hey, guys, I'm just going to tell you, I've watched every episode of Crane and Company since you guys relaunched, and I've learned, if I've learned one thing from all that, it's that you guys have some varying degrees of success in betting against your teams and having that work out for you in terms of having them win in real life,
Yes.
You recently tried to do it with the Braves. Unfortunately, that did not work out. But I'm going to try to do it with my Missouri Tigers here because
I love it, man.
Weird stuff always happens, but I think that if I take the Gamecocks to win, but the Tigers to cover, then Missouri will win the game. So even though sports betting, as far as I know, is not legal in Missouri yet, which is just the weirdest thing ever.
Depends on who you know.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and lock in, even though I can't bet, I'll lock in South Carolina money line, so hopefully the Tigers will win.
Okay. Doing opposites. Doing opposites. I love it. Ben, number one, thanks for watching the show, bro. We appreciate it.
Man.
Yeah, well, you're part of the trust tree, Ben. You'll forever be there.
Hey, call in next week and tell us how that emotional roller coaster worked out for you.
Yes.
Or if you got richer.
We're going to see.
All right. Thanks, man.
It's in a glass case of emotions.
Appreciate it, Ben. All right. We got last one here. Tyler in Knoxville. Tyler, what's going on?
Hi, Ty.
The best for last. What's up, guys?
Yes,
What
sir.
up?
There he is. It's Friday.
Come on. So I live here in Knoxville. Go Big Orange. But I like what Ben was saying. I'm kind of fading against your team. I'm concerned about, we won a close one last year, but the way we won and rushing the field, it was a Super Bowl moment, kind of a big high here in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. Will Alabama use that as bulletin board material?
I think in rivalry games, you don't even need that. I don't think it's almost like asking, the next year after the kick six, like in 2014, while Alabama used Auburn storming the field against it. I think the rivalry game, it's the third Saturday in October. If you need what happened, in the past to juice you up for this game, then we signed the wrong cats. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you'd forget about it, right? But if Alabama, let's just run the scramble out. If Alabama beats the hell out of Tennessee Saturday, it won't be because Tennessee stormed the field last year. You've got two totally different teams, two totally different rosters, but it's the same mission. It's a rivalry game, the third Saturday in October, Tennessee at Bama. And if you're Tennessee, you're fighting for your life in the SEC East. You got to win this one. You can't take a second loss. And if you're Bama, you're fighting for your life to stay on track in the SEC West, where you now have the inside track, and you can't lose another game, most likely, and go to the college football playoff. So even if you take the rivalry part out of it, it's massive for each team, but you throw the rivalry part in it, you don't want to be the team that lost to your rival. Yep. So I don't think that'll be a main reason. Does it help with prep a little bit? Do you show a video of it to piss them off during prep? I mean, maybe, but that's not an overarching reason. So I wouldn't stay up at night because of that. I'd stay up at night because Joe Milton's ass can't throw a dig. That's why I'd stay up at night.
The defense looks really stout, but I think it's going to come down to what they can do on offense.
For sure. You got to score points to win, right? Like at the end of the day, you got to score points to win. But these are two totally different teams, man. But it's going to be fascinating. I can't wait to watch it.
Hey, call in next week, brother.
Well, let's go. Go Big Orange.
Tyler, thanks,
man.
buddy.
Thank you, man.
All right. You want to read these donuts while I go over to the board?
Yeah, we can do that. Too much pizza sauce with a $5 donation. I don't think that's ever really a problem.
Can you have too much pizza sauce?
I love marinara.
Who gets in? A one-loss Bama SEC champ or a one-loss Pac-12 champ? You think they're going to look Nick Saban in the face with one loss and say you're
depends
not?
On what. Well, it depends on what happens around. Like, did Oklahoma go undefeated? Did Michigan go undefeated? Did Florida State go undefeated? Like, in order to know that the end of what the last puzzle piece that fits, I need to put all the other puzzle pieces together. I can't answer one without the other. So I need what those 5 teams do, and then I can tell you. Now, you're asking what I'm projecting? I think Michigan's going undefeated. I think Florida State's going undefeated. There's 2 right there. I think Oklahoma's going to lose to Texas in a rematch in the Big 12 championship game.
It's got a blazing Grizzly at $5 donation. Is there a real chance Nebraska to win out the rest of the season? I think it'd be it'd be 5-1 in the last 6 games.
Who they got left? I know it's Northwestern this weekend. They're a 12-point favorite.
I got it right here. You said Nebraska?
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Are they on a bye this week?
No, they got Northwestern.
Wait, Nebraska? Oh, hold on. Sorry.
Yep.
This one goes down. Nebraska.
Go down.
All right. Purdue, Michigan State, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa.
Yeah?
Doable
offensively, though.
Duck Fan Dane, $5 donation. I'm not in the loop. What has the NCAA done besides this to Harbaugh? The NCAA is so maddening when it comes to best quirky rules.
David, what have they done to Harbaugh before this? Burgergate, all type of stuff.
Yeah. No, yeah. And Burgergate, look, what happened talking to the recruits during the COVID period or whatever. Again, the thing is, who knew the rules at that time? They were changing every 5 minutes anyway. I just have a hard time believing this guy, Jim Harbaugh, who's been criticized as being too much of a nice guy and made fun of, now all of a sudden is the biggest cheater.
He's Lex Luthor now.
I'm not buying it, man. Like, if our head coach was Urban Meyer and we were winning all these sorts of games and he has the history that he does, and I was put in a position of, are you going to have to defend your head coach who may be kind of a sleazeball just because he's winning a lot? That would be a lot tougher situation. I'd say, you know what? Maybe our team is doing a little something extra to help win. Jim Harbaugh ain't that guy.
It's times like this that I love to quote the late, great Harvey Dent. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain.
This is where that fits the best. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Man, so Jim Harbaugh's Batman now.
Yeah.
He's the Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight's not wearing khakis.
Spooderman.
Bruce Wayne shows up in khakis and cleats to his defense. What happened, Gotham?
That's to throw people off.
Good God. Let's go to Christina Tolley, $5 donation. What are MSU's keys to victory this weekend aside from changing our call signals, firing all 3 of our coordinators, and hiring Urban Meyer?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a lot of great answers for you in Michigan State's key to victory. Key to victory, magic and hope.
Don't play the game.
Magic and hope. COVID.
Don't play the game.
If Urban Meyer just walked in tomorrow with no prior being there with Michigan State, just walked in to coach the team tomorrow, I'd still take them plus
10
24.
point spread. It'd go down to 10.
20. It'd go down to 10. He's worth 2 touchdowns.
Hey, y'all hire Urban. Watch out, though.
All right, Glenn D, $5 donation. I don't know if you delivered it or not. Homecoming from Mizzou tomorrow. Any tips for bringing a 1-year-old to the big game, Coach?
Ooh. Just do it. Do it. No tips.
Do it.
Just, hey.
All night, everybody.
Pray before, pray after, and have fun.
All right, let's get to a couple here quickly.
Up.
Arik Casket with another $5 donation. Blaine, I'm going to need you to pull through this week on your locks. The locks that week parlay needs to hit this weekend. Hey, dog, we're there together.
We were 5-1.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and
When he took it last time.
handshake right here. All right, Duck Fane Dane with another one with a $5 donation. Where'd it go? There it is. Oregon wins game, 28+, garbage time points for sure. We'll see about that. Cole Frink, $2 donation. LeBron is mid. MJ's a GOAT.
Yep.
The NCAA is just petty.
All right, here we go. Bets for tonight. Give me SMU total team points over 37.5 because Temple, well, they can't stop anything. Then give me the over in that game at 54.5, not 54.15. I don't know why I wrote that. That's going off at -112. I just hope E.J. Warner, Kurt's son's playing offensively for Temple because if not, I hope SMU can score 55.
All right, looks like I'm bet buds with the Dragon today. SMU -20.5 at -120. And then Astros Rangers Nerfy -120. Astros back in the series.
I'm taking SMU -20.5. That's going off as -120. I just want to get this out real quick. Brad from Ads is dead to me. I think we need to have a dead to us board when it comes to betting where we just put teams or people's faces.
Because I usually strikeouts.
He sends me ladder picks.
I will have no Brad's.
He sends me ladder picks. I've been betting him almost the entire playoffs. And the one day he didn't send it to me yesterday, the guy we usually get the bet from hit for $110K.
Did you reach out to him and ask
Brad,
did you reach out and do the work?
I'm going to hate you for the next probably 30 days, but then I'll get over it.
All I heard is that he doesn't take his own picks.
And they give me Verlander. I'm rolling with it tonight. I listen to Brad. I listen to Brad when it comes to baseball betting.
I didn't even think investigation?
Yeah.
You want to talk about
investigation?
You're using a guy for
this
picks?
guy's picks.
I take them in consideration.
Vacated.
Look, only I know is this.
Wow.
There's a guy who's won back-to-back months and hadn't got up there and done a damn
What, that's
thing.
using, and his name's
calling the
Roger or something.
NCAA
Yeah,
right
I'm sure
now.
you will, Michigan. See, you'll end up getting suspended. Give me Verlander over 5Ks. It's going off at +108.
Wow. Ace Cone. Diamondbacks money line. That's +114. Astros money line -105. Hold on. Hey, Cone, can you get this knife out of my back?
Guys, what are you talking about?
Thanks, bud. Hey, Poll. I'm the spy. I'm the spy.
This guy vacated.
Should Harbaugh be suspended?
No.
79%.
98%.
Yes. 72%.
That's not right.
You're a liar.
You're a liar.
I can tell it by your face. You're a liar.
71%.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, we appreciate you guys.
Hold on, play that graphic.
That's right. We hit it.
They dead ass said it, but they dead ass said it twice, but the control of Nick.
Right.
That's fine. We'll leave it. We'll leave it. I'll.
Wait, so we hit by the hook?
No, y'all said it twice.
No,
but
we
they
didn't.
catch
I
it.
thought it was 2.5.
1.5. What?
Oh.
Oh, no, I thought we said 2.5.
It's on tape.
Oh, well.
God, that's the second time somebody said that to me this week. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Good job in the chat. Got a great Saturday
shout
show.
out, give him a shout out. This new merch.
Cultural Apparel.
Cultural Apparel sent us these, man.
Dude, that is sick.
Your wife wants one, too.
Yeah, we got them. They're in my house. They're in my house.
Okay.
They're in my house.
Nice.
I'll get them. Tell us, hey, if you like the way that looks, let us know. We appreciate you guys. Got a great Saturday special that we're actually dropping on Friday with Adam Bredeman, former Penn State tight end, host of Next Up with Adam. You guys are the best. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And like the chances of me not enjoying football this weekend, going.
Dang it!
Got it.
He dropped it. Hit the ground.
I had possession.
Throw it, David.
I had possession. Gone.
Blaine.